afternoon! Ayan. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second episode po ng ating webinar series. And we are now on our second episode. Ang topic po natin for this afternoon ay sensor calibration and placement logics in pig farms. So I see familiar faces pero sana mas marami pa po yung mga maka-attend kasi madami po tayong registrants ngayong hapon na to. Special mention to all those na nataga Central Bicol, State University of Agriculture, si Biswa, kasi I think kung hindi pa ako nagkakamali, more than 3 sections nila yung nag-register for this webinar. So kung wala pa yung mga kaklase nyo dito, papasukin nyo na kasi kailangan narito kayo sa loob to avail our certificate. Ayan. So nakakatuwa kasi meron na po pala ang si Biswan na klase on digital farming according sa bago nilang curriculum. Kaya naman kasama natin sila ngayon. Ano po? So good afternoon everyone. Nakakailan na po ba kayo? Pangalawa nyo na po ba ito? Or nga ngayon? Pero kung nandyan man po kayo, kung suki na namin kayo, maraming salamat kasi lagi nyo po kaming sinasamahan sa webinar. And if it's your first time, then sana hanggang dulo, hanggang episode 20, magkakasama po tayo. Okay? Para po simulan na natin ang ating training ngayong hapon, to formally start our training po, let us pray po and play our national anthem through our ABP po.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we welcome you amongst us today and celebrate the gift of life that you have lavished upon each of us. We ask that you would open our ears so that we may hear your voice. Open our minds so that we may receive your eternal wisdom. Open our spirits so that we may know your leading and guidance. And open our hearts so that we may receive your wonderful love. Lord, we thank you for the speakers and facilitators. We pray that you would give them great inspiration as they share with us what you have placed on their heart. We pray that you would fill them with courage and give them your peace. We ask all this in the glorious name of Jesus. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiging, telas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang bangaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may iwag-iindig. Luman ang araw ng walang pagsinta, mo'y langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Yan, and of course po, we will play din po some of our rules lang po in doing our webinar series po. Ayan, so reminders lang po kasi may mga nagfo-follow up po sa amin regarding sa kanilang certificates. So yung pong mga certificates natin nung nakaraang webinar, napamigay na po namin lahat. Baka po nagtataka kayo kasi may requirements po kagaya po na nakita nyo dun sa pinlay natin. Kailangan po registered po kayo. Tapos sa Zoom po kayo a-attend. At sa Zoom po, pasuyo po na pakipalitan po ng pangalan natin. Kasi kung ang pangalan po nyo ay yung inyong gadget or iba po yung nakalagay dyan, wala po kaming way to verify your name na kayo po yung nakaregister. Kaya kailangan nyo pong palitan yung name nyo dun sa name ng nakaregister nyo. And then at the same time, the last requirement po is kailangan po kayo ay nakapag-evaluate. Evaluation link po ay pinapadala namin at inilalagay namin dito sa Zoom link kapag po patapos na ang ating webinar. Okay? So, yun po. For those who are in Facebook right now, pasensya na po kayo, pero yun nga po, yung mga nasa Zoom lang po ang ating bibigyan ng certificate. Kung hindi nyo pa po nakikita ang Zoom link pero kayo po ay nag-register, pakicheck po ng inyong email kasi sa email po kami nagsisend, okay? Hindi po namin yan isisend or ipopost sa ating FB page, okay? Ang link po ay nasa inyo pong mga email. So if you are watching right now at Facebook, kasi meron pong nagme-message, nasan daw po ang link? Siya daw po ay nakaregister. Please check your email po. Kayang-kaya nyo pang humabol, ma'am, dito sa ating Zoom. Okay po? So, okay po ba yun? Can I see thumbs up po kung maliwanag po yung ating information regarding po sa kung paano makakakuha ng certificate. Ayan, maraming maraming salamat for your reactions po. Okay, so handa na po ba? Handa na po ba ang lahat na makinig ngayong hapon para sa second episode ng atin pong webinar? Kasi kung handa na po kayo, handang-handa na rin po kami at ang atin pong speaker ngayong hapon, kaya ipapakilala ko na po siya. Okay na? Ayan, sige po. So dahil okay na po tayo, our speaker po for this afternoon, a technology practitioner with more than 20 years of experience in information technology, systems engineering, and applied innovation. Over the course po of his career, he has transitioned from the traditional IT into agricultural informatics, focusing on how digital systems can be applied to real-world livestock and life science environment. Today, he continues to contribute to advancing connected livestock systems and applied agricultural intelligence through hands-on research, development, and deployment. Our speaker po for this afternoon, Sir Jose Carlos Sia of KTech. Sir?
Hello, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. For those po na thumbs up lang po tayo kung naririnig natin si sir so that we could verify po. Ayan.
Ayan,
Rinig
narinig
ka naman,
natin.
sir.
Magandang hapon po. Maraming salamat po, Miss Elaine, for the introduction. And maraming salamat po sa ITCPH. Itong ating partnership ay nagtutuloy-tuloy para sa pag-push natin sa Internet of Pigs, no? So, maraming salamat po sa nag-organize and sa lahat po ng nag-join sa webinar na ito. So, this is the second episode. The first episode started few weeks ago. But since we have new listeners, no, joiners, I will give me like 5 minutes, no, para present yung slide last time in a very quick manner, just to have a quick review kung ano yung napag-usapan last time para mas madaling ma-grasp yung mga pag-uusapan today, no? The topic today is anchored very much doon sa mga naunang topic. It is very focused na, though it's still on the idea of a level 1 training. But it's very focused on the decision-making factor and understanding the placement and the readings of Internet of Things sensors. So, are we all ready? Give me a thumbs up, please. All right, so let me share my screen. I'll share the second screen, and I think it's sharing now. So, I will just bring you through the slides from day one, no? So we discussed the challenges in traditional farming. So the manual labor, the data deficiency, unpredictable climate, and the technology gap. So we presented a solution, no, the real-time data with IoT, AI-driven decisions, and automated farm operations built for replication. Then we discussed what's IoT, and then how they all connect, those Internet of Things devices, and we discussed about a mobile dashboard and automation, and then empowering farmers, no, the smartphone first design, user-centered interface, and remote operations. So we discuss about democratizing access. And then we discuss about what would be the vision of agriculture if we do this, no? And this is the 6-day training roadmap. Day 1 and 2 is sensor science. It's all about how everything is interconnected in our digital farm. Then for day 3 and 4, that would be data and connectivity. So we will understand how data transfers from one device to another, how it's being managed, collected, and curated. No? For day 5 and 6, IoT applications and mapping, no? Explore agricultural case studies and develop personal applications. So we will discuss all of these in the following webinars. So today we are on day 2. So these were the course overview, Foundation of Sensor Science. So we will discuss mostly the same thing, but we will be diving deeper in the sensor calibration and how what are the methods to do calibration. So we discuss all of these. What is a sensor? Key variables in a pig barn. So the temperature, humidity, ammonia levels, feed levels, ammonia activity. We all discussed it last time. Temperature and humidity sensors. We focus on it. The ammonia and gas sensors. We also discuss about the load cells for feed monitoring and the PIR sensors. So basically, we discuss most sensors that we use in a farm or in a barn. And we had a high-level discussion of understanding drift, calibration, and response time. This will be the focus of the topic today, no? Yung drift calibration nung sensor mismo. So we understood the sensor placement. So we will we will discuss on a deeper perspective for sensor placement principles, basis for sensor location, common sensor placement errors, cost and reliability. So and we have some Q&As, no? So for today, we will continue on doing sensor calibration and placement logic, no? Making sensor readings meaningful. So ideally, if we do have sensors or whatever device that we use to collect information, no, it collects data. But data without understanding a purpose, no, kung para saan yung isang data na nako-collect ng sensor and not curated for that is not information. So we wanted to build a system that not just collects data, but builds an information system that we can rely on. So that is the topic of today. This is very much theoretical. It's more on understanding the principles of how things work and decision points on how to decide on your for your own farms and your own applications. So let me go to the next slide. No, so it's really about trust in data. No, trust in data is not automatic. It's being built through disciplined practice in the field. No, in connected livestock systems, sensors generate thousands of data points every day. That's what I've been saying earlier. No, but volume alone does not create value. No, value is coming from raw. If your raw readings only become useful when we understand how they are validated, interpreted inside the barn. So placement and the reasons why we put a sensor there should have a specific reason, a target, so that what the reading that we have or we get, it becomes an information, no? It becomes an insight. So we're talking about calibration then, no? Calibration is what anchors those numbers to reality. Without a reference point, no, a temperature or humidity reading is just an isolated value. No? In livestock environments, even small environmental changes can influence health, feed conversion, and stress levels. No? So that means small inaccuracies can quietly lead to wrong decisions. That's what we will discuss about. So what would be the best practice or the tested practice that leads to good decisions on reading information. But calibration alone is not enough, no? Placement, sure. So we do calibration of the device, no, and we do the placement of the device. A perfectly calibrated sensor installed in the wrong location can still mislead us. Let's remember that. That's very important, no? Even if our sensor is calibrated properly, and even if our we have a good quality sensors, if it's not located or installed, if it's installed in the wrong location, it can still mislead us. When calibration and placement work together, no, if we put them together, sensor data becomes biologically meaningful and operationally reliable. So if we only have those temperature numbers, we know that it's going up, it's going down. Those are all fluctuations of temperature or fluctuations of humidity. But if we know where those sensors are located, and they're located properly on the ideal part of the barn or the farm, and it has its purpose, then what we get from it is good information. So that's very important. So let me go to the next slide. No, why this session matters. Let's discuss why this is important. No, why are we talking about this? And we are taking time to discuss this. No, technology adoption in livestock systems has accelerated very quickly. We've seen that China, in the US, Europe, sensors are now everywhere in modern barns. Maybe not yet very much in the Philippines. This stays with big, large scale operations, but slowly we have introduced barns that is driven by sensors. But despite that progress, reliability is still the limiting factor. Many precision livestock farming studies shows the same pattern. No? When calibration and validation routines are missing, sensor performance degrades over time. The result is false alarms, no? Noisy data, and reduced confidence in decisions. And we don't want that. No? What's important to understand is that most data problems are not purely technical. We have to remember that. They are procedural. So understanding the process Okay, understanding the process on how to maintain, where to put, and how to calibrate those devices, no? Itong mga sensors natin, maintindihan natin paano ito i-calibrate at saan to ilagay, no? Yun yung procedural, no? Hindi naman natin kailangan na very technical tayo or we have engineering knowledge, no? In real farms, sensors are often installed in convenient locations. Yun ang lagi nating napapansin. And um, uh, left unchecked for months and assumed to remain accurate forever. Madalas ko itong nakikita na kung saan naka-install ang isang sensor, it's there forever, no? Um, we did several experimentation for the past several years on sensor placement, even on asking the technicians, no, dito sa farm namin, no. We live in a real farm with a digital barn, no, kung saan nila nakikita na mas magandang ilagay yung isang sensor without training them pa. So pare-parehas lagi sila ng sagot kung saan open and everything. I discussed this in the previous session, but we are going to put further discussions on this today. So, and this is not just a theoretical concern. No, environmental monitoring directly affects real outcomes. No, large-scale barn studies have shown clear links between temperature, humidity, animal health. No, when sensor readings drive ventilation, heating, or stress mitigation decisions, inaccurate data translate into operational consequences. This session exists to make sure we don't make confident decisions without understanding the decision driving factors, which is our data, no? So, we would like to put ourselves in a situation that we are running, or in an idea that we are running a digital barn. You have a farm and one or two maybe they're digital, the others are probably running on a different approach. So if we put ourselves into that situation, we would imagine ourselves installing, no, sensors, and we would imagine ourselves na if it's a barn na enclosed, merong environmental control, or if it's semi, no, kung yung semi-traditional siya, we also use electric fans and other appliances to introduce controls ng environment. So we imagine that, no, in this session, and we walk along dun sa barn natin, dun sa ating babuyan, at we imagine kung saan best ilagay yung sensor. So we will guide you through that, no? I think that's a very important pointers, no? Awareness to trust, the handling of errors, drive to data errors, environmental data affects outcomes, and the bad decisions start with bad data. And those are itong mga pag-uusapan natin dito ay tested natin sa K-Epecto in our farm laboratory, no. So we've run so many cycles of digital farming to understand and identify bad decision points and good decision points that made our process practical, and until now mas madali siyang gamitin, and still the agricultural part of K-Tech is working, no, kahit na sensor science na ang ginagamit natin, and it's a different approach. So let's go on to the next slide, no, the high level objectives, which pinresent na rin ni Ma'am Elaine kanina. So understand field calibration logics, no, handling sensors professionally does not require engineering, no, na-mention ko to kanina. What it really is disciplined field reasoning. If we have a disciplined field reasoning, ibig sabihin we understand kung anong nangyayari doon sa field mismo. The goal of this session is to build practical literacy. the ability to walk into a barn and quickly judge whether environmental readings are trustworthy or questionable. So yun yung objective natin, no? That once you walk into a barn or into a farm, alam natin na reliable yung mga inilagay nating mga sensors at mga binabasa natin. We will look at how field calibration actually works. Kanina ko pa binabanggit tong calibration na to. We will discuss this more later using simple reference tools and multi-sensor comparison techniques, no? So there are techniques on how to calibrate the tools, no? Para maging information na napapakinabangan yung readings natin, no? Research in livestock monitoring consistently shows that structured validation reduces false alarms and improves decision stability even when using affordable sensors. In other words, reliability is often driven by more process than by price. No, maganda pa rin yung mga may presyo na mga device, na mga sensors, but it's really more on how we maintain them and how we understand its maintenance and how we position them and use them rather than the direct quality of the direct advertised quality of the device on the commercial side. Equally important is placement. Yun nga, sensors must represent that what animal actually experience. We've discussed this in a high level nung nakaraang discussion, but we would like to discuss this further. So this is part of our objective, no? Placement awareness and early detection of bias and drift. Sensors stop behaving passive devices, no? Yun yung goal natin para hindi lang siya yung passive devices, maintindihan natin siya ano ba talaga ang ibig sabihin ng mga information na nakikita natin sa sensor, na para maging reliable instruments for decision making itong mga sensor na ito. Then, after the objectives, we discuss about what is a calibration, no? What is calibration? We've been hearing this word since last session and today, no? Calibration is what turns a number into information. Without a trusted reference, a sensor reading is just an isolated output. It only becomes meaningful when we compare it to something we trust. That act of comparison under the same environmental condition is what anchors measurement to reality. In real livestock environments, no, calibration rarely happens in laboratory chambers. Hindi ito yung mga napapanood natin sa sci-fi, no. Most of the time, it's done in the field, no. Yung may mga technician talaga tayo na they rely on handheld calibrated thermometers, trusted baseline instruments, or simply using side-by-side comparisons, no? Precision livestock research consistently supports this approach. Routine comparison, even with simple tools, is one of the strongest driver of the long-term sensor reliability. So, halimbawa ako, nasa malayo ako ngayon, I am about a half kilometer away from my barn. But kung ano yung nakikita ko dito sa aking tablet na data, na information, I trust it. Kasi we have made sure that the devices that we deployed are properly calibrated. So we will bring you through on how to calibrate these devices, no? Para hindi natin kailangang nandun, nakikita natin personally ang sensors, no? What we see on our dashboards on the remote app is actually an information because we validated the locations of those sensors using the right mindset on how to put the sensors, no? That's beyond the tools, no? Calibration is really a mindset, no? A mindset. Professionals should always be asking a simple question. Compared to what? That's always a question, no, na ginagamit ko. If I see a reading, no, compared to what reading? Compared to what temperature? Compared to what day? To what hour? No? There's always a need of that mindset, no? The relational mindset. That if we are presented with an information, we try to question what is the relationship of that information dun sa current environment ng ating babuyan or ng ating barn, no? So that's a very important mindset. when that question becomes a habit, no, environmental monitoring becomes discipline. Confidence in barn data becomes justified, no, not assumed. It becomes justified. And management decisions starts resting on verified measurements instead of unchecked numbers. What we want is, I always say this, we want a boring system, no? Boring. Ayaw natin yung maraming aksyon, yung maraming pumapalya at hindi tayo sigurado kung tama ba ang reading na, uy, bakit parang ang taas ng reading doon? Puntahan naman natin doon sa mismong bahay ng baboy at tingnan yung mga sensors. Hindi tayo reactive, no? Meron tayong confidence kasi we have controls, we have a process, no? Like for example, a weekly maintenance or a monthly maintenance to check the sensors, to calibrate them, to recalibrate. And we have a baseline of what is the ideal uh, uh, calibration nung sensors natin. So, mas mapapakinabangan natin. Hindi tayo laging aalala if our data is correct against dun sa what's actually happening there, no? There are so many times that I don't call people dun sa mismong barn, the technicians, no? I just check the data. I know it's reliable because we put proper measures on how to validate the devices that produces those information. No, that's very important that we calibrate. Okay. And next would be calibration, no, in real farms. Let's discuss that. No, calibration inside commercial barns has to be realistic, repeatable, and time efficient. Laboratory calibration chambers are rarely available in agricultural settings. We know that. We see yung mga wet lab scientists natin, yung mga tao na nasa laboratory ng biology. If you picture that, yung class natin nung college dati, nung high school, no, pag nasa laboratory tayo, we measure instruments. Titingin tayo ng temperature ng tester natin, ng everything, no. They have their own way, no, specific scientific way to validate those tools. In our environment, no, sa real farms, we also have introduced efficient, no, way na hindi naman tayo masyadong mukhang laboratory validation, no? It's easier. So field validation becomes a standard. Yun yung goal natin. In practice, this is usually means na handheld reference instruments or structured multi-sensor comparisons, no? We will use multi-sensor comparisons. I will discuss it more later, no? These methods gives meaningful accuracy without adding unnecessary cost or complexity. So the goal here is there's also a strong field evidence supporting this approach, no? Yung long-term in barn studies of relative humidity sensors have shown that some units begin drifting or even failing within 6 to 9 months of exposure to moisture, dust, ammonia. This is why early and repeated validation is specifically important for humidity sensing, no? Field calibration is just routine maintenance. It is a form of operational risk management. I always put that in mind, and we share it to this audience, no, na yung field calibration ng mga devices is one of the operational risks that is very important. If we are not sure, if we agree dun sa farm natin on how we calibrate the devices and how we compare the devices against each other's reading, and then we don't have the enough trust of the result kasi hindi siya validated of certain target, no? We don't know kung ano talaga yung dapat nating pagbanggaan, no? What is it related to yung data. So lagi nating tandaan yon. I have experience na nag-test kami ng devices without calibrating it. hindi naman ito sobrang taas na science, no, na very precise that to the precision 0.00 something on the temperature. Sometimes it's okay to have fluctuation, no, 1%, 1 degree, 2 degrees, up and down. It's also good, no, para sa natural environment na feeling ng ating livestock. So we also tried na maglagay ng mga devices na uncalibrated. Though they nandun lang sila sa isang range nagwo-work and they work together, no? But fine-tuning specific decisions is became hard, no? Became more difficult kasi some of the device were drifting down, some of the device were drifting up. So we don't really know kung ano yung variance, no? So we want to understand that variance, yung totoong pinagkakaiba nila. So we understood na deploying raw devices galing sa market and then just relying on the uh, default setting, no, hindi nakakalibrate and hindi natin siya kinalibrate against other devices. Meron silang magkakaibang reaction, no? From the manufacturer, I will discuss that more further later. Then let's go on to the next slide. Accuracy versus stability, no? This is now very clear in the discussion, no? That is accuracy versus stability is are two things na kailangan nating intindihin ng mabuti, no? So when evaluating environmental sensors, we need to think it in two dimensions. One, accuracy, and two, stability. Gaano ba ka-accurate yung data natin? At gaano ka-stable yung system natin para magbigay ng accurate data? Accuracy tells us whether a reading reflects physical reality, no? Stability tells us whether that reading stays consistent over time under similar conditions. When these two ideas gets mixed, no, people develop confidence in data that may not actually be correct, no? Pagka na-mix up natin tong dalawang to. So, very important, no? That's why I keep on repeating it in this session, no? Yung accuracy and stability and trust in the information that we are reading. Sensor can look reliable, no? Simply because its numbers don't jump around, no? If we see a sensor and it's stable, somewhat it's just fluctuating dun sa maliit na ano, up and down, no? It sounds it looks stable, no? But it doesn't mean that it's reliable. That does not guarantee accuracy. For example, no, a temperature probe that consistently reads 2 degrees higher than the true value will still look stable. Yet that constant offset can quietly affect ventilation, no, thresholds, heating activation, no, the heat stress decisions. Stable errors are specifically risky because they are not visually obvious. So if your, let's say, your device, you have a certain sensor number one, and sensor number one is actually reading higher, no, 2 degrees higher than what it is supposed to read, no, and it's not noticed. Kung hindi natin yun pupuntahan yung sensor na yun and it's check ulit, we will not have an idea, no, na what it's giving us, it's 2 degrees higher. So magmumukha lang siyang reliable data. Magmumukha siyang good information that we have a graph of what's ever happening. But we will have delayed decisions, no? Yung sa mga ventilation, sa ating mga fans, humidifier, no? A sensor can look reliable simply because, no, fine na fine siya. But if we don't calibrate them regularly, hindi natin yun mahahalata. Long-term observations in this precision livestock system show this pattern clearly. Sensors often remain stable while gradually losing absolute accuracy due to environmental stress and component aging. That's why periodic reference comparison is essential, no? Even when trends look smooth, no? Stability helps us find patterns, no? See patterns. Accuracy ensures those patterns ay biologically and operationally meaningful. So that's why we need to understand, no, yung accuracy and stability, no? How accurate the data is and how stable it is. And it all boils down to, first is those items we discussed earlier, no? We calibrate and we understand the placement, no? Accuracy is closeness to truth, hindi siya yung truth, but at least it's closer, no? Na stability is getting it away from risk, no? Stable ba yung information, hindi ba namamatay yung device, lagi ba siyang may internet connectivity if it needs connection, things like that, no? Understanding its environment, so that we know that the device environment is stable. And if we know that in our minds, and we know that the sensors are calibrated, then when we see the data, the information sa mga dashboard or sa mga cellphone natin, we trust it, no? Yun lang po yun. Paulit-ulit ko tong sinasabi because ito ay isang bagay that we learn as a practice, no? Of understanding the readings, no? At questioning the readings kung tama ba ang ating nakikita o hindi, no? So if we see something, we always ask a question. I'm seeing this number and I am reading this against something, against another variable, no? Another parameter. It could be the weather, the feeding, but we always ask the reading if it's kung against what siya, no? That's paulit-ulit ko pong sinusubukan na ipaliwanag para talagang ating maisapuso, no? So let's go to the next slide. What is sensor bias? No, meron tayong tinatawag na bias pagdating sa sensor. So sensor bias is one of the most common and manageable forms of measurement error in livestock environments. Bias simply means a consistent offset, no? Lagi lang siyang may kaibahan from the true value. So halimbawa, dumating sa atin yung sensor, lagi siyang 33, pero ang other sensor sa paligid sinasabi 31. So that is a bias, no? Dahil talaga yon sa build ng device. May mga engineering standards sa pag-build ng device na yan, but nag-i-impact din yung quality ng mga materials, yung design, etc. So hindi laging parehas, no? May mga off yan na ilang degrees. And that's the same sa halos lahat ng sensor. So the sensor is halimbawa systematically higher or lower than reality, no? Unlike random noise, bias follows a predictable pattern. Kung lagi siyang pababa, lagi siyang pababa. Kung lagi siyang pataas, lagi siyang pataas, no? A simple example makes this clear. If the real barn temperature, yung sinasabi ko, 33 degrees, no, Celsius, consistently, tas nagre-read siya ng mas mababa, those readings will look stable. But you still, those readings are wrong, no? Na sundan po natin yon. Hindi dahil yun ang sinasabi ng isang sensor, dahil probably meron siyang isang drift or isang bias pala, no? Hindi ibig sabihin yun na kaagad ang kanyang flow. So kailangan nating i-accommodate tong mga bias na to, no? In real field deployment, specifically with cost-efficient digital sensors, small factory offsets of plus or minus 1 to 2 degrees are very common. Nandun yan, no? The good news is that bias is usually detectable and manageable. Pagdating pa lang yan, pag kinumpare mo sa isang device na nakasanayan mo na, no? Through structured comparison, software offset adjustments. Pag sinabi nating software offset adjustments, meron dun na lalagyan mo ng -1. Then magbabago yung kanyang calibration ng -1 para pare-parehas sila ng reading ng ibang mga devices. So para dun lang sa reading binabago para ma-calibrate natin yung bias, no? So meron 'yan sa mga IoT devices, no, sa mga applications nila. So tandaan natin 'yon. merong sensor bias. So, pag bumili tayo ng sensor, once we get our hands dun sa sensor, we test that sensor against other sensors and check kung may drift ba sila, may bias ba siya or wala, no? And if you are discovering this alone, medyo komplikado na marami kang sensor na ititest, no? That's why we have published or we are publishing yung mga sensors na mga na-test na natin ng KETech, and we have two quality testing, no, dun sa mga devices na yon, so that we know kung ano yung mga sensor na good, and we already understand yung mga default biases, no? So, the next item that we will discuss, no, after nung bias, yun yung dumating yung factory default siya, there's already a bias, and we can mitigate that, no? The next is yung drift naman. Ano naman yung drift, no? Yung drift ay yun yung kung ano ang nagiging bago sa reading niya dahil sa mga bagay na nai-introduce dun sa sensor, no? Sensor drift is fundamentally different from bias because it evolves over time. So nagbabago yan, no? Depende dun sa environment. A sensor may start its life accurately calibrated. Halimbawa, bagong calibration siya, and then slowly move away from the true value as components age or becomes chemically stressed, no? There is usually no sudden failure. Instead, the deviation accumulates quietly. So, we who purchase a good sensor or an expensive sensor or a market economic sensor, no, the price doesn't dictate it, no. Along the time, no, that you are using those sensor and they are installed, nagkakaalikabok yan, no. Nabanggit natin to nung nakaraang webinar. Nagkakaroon niya ng exposure sa iba't ibang klase ng gases, no, doon sa environment, no. We discussed na dapat nang doon sa animal level ang ating mga sensor, sa Internet of Pigs, no, yung naabot na kung ano ang hinihinga na air ng ating baboy, nandoon ang ating mga sensors, no, sa environmental sensors. So, this is important kasi kung basa yung environment, iba din yung kanyang pang-build up. So, nagbabago yan. Yun yung tinatawag natin na drift, no? Okay? So, una kanina, we discussed about yung bias. Ang kasunod, we are discussing about the drift, no? Livestock barns are specifically harsh environments for electronics. We always remember that, no? High humidity, repeated condensation cycles, no? Yung paulit-ulit na lang na lumalamig, umiinit, no? Airborne dust and ammonia exposure all contribute to material fatigue and sensor membrane degradation. Whether if it's expensive device or generic device, no? Field research on relative humidity sensors placed inside real barns has shown that measurable drift can appear within 6 to 9 months for some units. And we even tested some of our devices here, and there's already early drift, no? Around 3 months kung hindi talaga na-maintain yung area. What makes drift dangerous is its subtlety. Hindi natin siya napapansin. Akala natin good pa rin yung situation, no? After several na cycle, several na hulog, and akala natin okay pa ang lahat. Pagdating pa lang ng livestock natin, mali na pala yung readings natin, and yung experience natin from the previous one, yun yung nasa mind natin because yan yung nilelearn natin, and yun pala, iba na ang nilalabas ng ating mga sensor. So that is where drift is very important, no, na maintindihan. What makes the subtlety talaga that makes it very dangerous. The sensor still works, no? Gumagana siya. And the number still looks stable, no? Pagkatingin mo sa graph, okay pa rin. So tips may not suspect a problem. At ilang beses na po namin ito sinubukan kung mapapansin, no? But hindi talaga siya napapansin kung hindi ka maglalagay ng preventive maintenance, no? Over time, ventilation settings, heating adjustments, and stress alerts can slowly shift based on distorted values. Naka-anchor dun yung mga lahat ng desisyon natin, kung kailan palalamigin, kailan pa iinitin, or mag-electric fan ba, or nagbo-brooding ba tayo, no? Kung naka-anchor yun sa maling value sa simula pa lang, ng cycle, dahil may nauna ng cycle at nag-drift na ang ating sensors, no? Kinroad na, nadumihan na, then magkakaroon tayo ng problema, no? So, next, nabanggit ko naman dito on a high level, we will discuss on bias versus drift. Ano ba yung mas mahalaga? Ano ba yung dapat unahin, no? So, bias versus drift, no? Yung bias, static yan. Understanding the difference between bias and drift is essential, no? For sensor management. Bias is static. Simula't simula yan. Yun na yan. Kung 2 degrees yan, 2 degrees below lagi yan, or 2 degrees up yan. The sensor is consistently offset from the true value by predictable amount. These often come from factory calibration differences or small manufacturing tolerance, as I discussed earlier, no? Drift, on the other hand, no? Pagka tiningnan naman natin drift, kumpara naman natin sila, is dynamic. Nagbabago siya. Hindi laging parehas ang drift, minsan mabilis, no? The sensor may start close to the correct value and then gradually move away over time, no? Environmental exposure, humidity stress, chemical corrosion, lahat ng yon, no? Material aging, they all contribute to this shift. At hindi natin yon malalaman kung bilis ba o mabagal, no? Yung drift. So yun ang pinagkaiba niya. Yung bias, lagi siyang ganun. Kaya pag sinet natin ng mas mababa konti yung reading natin ng 2 or mas mataas konti ng 2 or 3, kung ano man yung bias na nakilala natin, magiging tama na ang reading ng ating device, no? But yung drift, depende yun dun sa life ng sensors, no? Yung mga wire na nilagay natin. So, lagi natin yung tatandaan. Yun yung mga kinakapture natin sa preventive maintenance, no, ng ating mga sensors. Then we talk about multi-sensor comparison. Kanina ko pa to binabanggit, no? This is not just about comparing multi-sensor, no? There's a process, no? Among all field validation methods, multi-sensor comparison is one of the most practical and cost-efficient, no? Cost-effective to. The idea is simple. Place 3 or more sensors in the same location and allow them to stabilize. That setup creates an instant reference group, no? If you imagine, we put 3 sensors together, no? And the sensors ay nandun lang sa isang area. So it will create a reference point, no? Kung ano yung consensus. What makes this powerful is contrast. If one sensor consistently reports values outside the cluster, we call the cluster yung pinagsama-sama natin yung 3, no? Or 4 or 5. Pag may lumalabas doon sa nilalabas ng iba outside pa na malayong-malayo na declination, it's likely has a bias, no, or early stage drift. So pag nag-i-introduce tayo ng bagong sensor, tinitingnan natin siya against multiple sensor na nasa isang quorum na pare-parehas ang reading or nandun sa isang small fluctuation ng reading, no? Kung within that 1 degree lang na nag-up and down, nagkakaintindihan sila. Meron silang consensus. That's the idea of the multi-sensor comparison. So, at a large scale, no, modern precision livestock system apply the same principle. They cross-validate temperature, humidity, and gas data to detect anomalies early. No? The disagreement reveals risk. So kung nakikita natin, so sa multi-sensor comparison, yung ordinary hardware natin ay nagiging resilient monitoring system through disciplined handling, no? Not expensive upgrades. Hindi natin kailangan bumili ng isang mamahalin na sensor na can dictate kung ano talaga yung industry standard na sa laboratory na very precise, no? We can have a consensus of devices na mga na-test na natin, no, napatakbo na natin dun sa environment, na clean na natin. And yung consensus ng mga sensors na yon, we put them in one location. And then we introduce another sensor. Tas doon sa application ng sensor, doon i-adjust na para magpare-parehas sila. So, yun yung multi-sensor comparison. Ideally, ginagamit din namin ito kung iniintindi pa lang namin yung physical structure ng paglalagyan na barn. Kung iniintindi pa lang natin yung mga temperature sa bawat area, no? We put multiple sensors na we have already calibrated para pag pare-parehas yung readings nila doon, mas reliable yung ating environmental reading. Then slowly, tsaka namin binabawasan ng sensors. So we always put sensors and IoT devices sa barn, nagtatanggal until makita natin yung stability, no? As I mentioned last time, maraming sensors ang ginamit namin doon sa initial model ng KETech smart backyard tunnel, but later on kumonte ang sensors because we already understand through different process of testing kung ano ang reaction ng environment dun sa specific design na yon. So it will vary, no? Dun sa design ninyo. If it's not dun sa design na pinag-aralan namin. So you'll have to understand yung design din ng structure, and we will discuss it later. So using reference instruments, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Instruments act as an anchor of environmental accuracy in livestock systems. When a barn sensor is compared against calibrated thermometer or hygrometer, no, the measurement gains context and credibility. It's also important to understand that not all reference tools provide the same level of certainty, no? Kahit yung mga medyo mahal na mga device na ginagamit natin as a reference, hindi pa rin siya laging may certainty, no? Minsan iba pa rin talaga yung mga laboratory grade, no, na mga devices. So from time to time, if you have access, no, na makipag-calibrate sa isang laboratory grade talaga, it's good, no? Pero hindi naman yun ganun ka-importante kasi sa atin naman, sa climate management natin, hindi naman natin kailangan ng ganun ka-detailed na per decimal point na nung pagkakaiba yung ating kinokorek, no? Meron tayong maliit na fluctuation kasi that's what normal environment readings, no? Sa lagi. Hindi yan perfect. So it's gonna be close to perfect, no? On one more important point, no? Reference instruments are not immune to drift. Tandaan natin yun. Yung reference instrument natin, we are also checking that against a quorum from time to time, no? They also require periodic calibration. Tandaan natin yan. If the benchmark shifts, every sensor validated against it inherits that error, no? Magkakahawaan. So, lagi nating bine-benchmark yung ating pang-benchmark. If the benchmark shifts, lagi akong merong nakatabi sa cabinet na nakalagay sa tamang lagayan, insulated siya. Yun yung lagi kong naka-benchmark. Then, from time to time, I check if same reading sila dun sa barn and yung may mga dumadating na device, dun ko rin siya bine-benchmark. So, hindi ko siya dinideploy dun sa harsh environment. Just to make sure na hindi siya nagko-corrode or nagkakaroon ng mga drift, no? And next would be the stabilization. Kanina pa natin pinag-uusapan yung mga devices, yung sensor, yung drift, yung ating bias. But kailan ba nagiging stable ang reading ng isang sensor? No? Environmental sensors do not instantly reflect ambient conditions when they are moved or powered on or repositioned, no? They need time to equilibrate, no? They need the time to adjust, no? With their surroundings. No? Ignoring this stabilization phase can easily lead to false conclusions, no, about accuracy. So, magmamadali tayo, masyadong mainit yung panahon, no? We don't let the device do stabilize. In real farm environments, most digital temperatures probes stabilize within about 3 to 5 minutes. Ako sa practice, mas pinapatagal ko pa. so that dun sa steady airflow, no? Mas matagal yung humidity sensors, usually takes about 10 minutes, no? Their sensing elements rely on moisture, yung mga humidity. So there's moisture, release, absorption, so that takes time, which naturally slows the response. So medyo mas matagal natin stabilize yung mga uh, sensor natin for humidity. So, um, tapos, in calibration, no, if it's done before full stabilization, medyo misleading. No? So, ang ginagawa natin, for an example, no, a handheld reference meter, no, pulled from the pool office or sa bahay into a warm panel or barn, no, will initially read lower than the true temperature. Medyo iba, no? Mas mababa. That does not mean that the barn sensor is wrong, no? It simply means the reference has not yet settled, no? This is why professional validation routines always include a deliberate waiting period, no? Pagpahingahin muna natin doon yung device bago natin i-measure kung bago natin siyang ini-introduce or nagmo-multi-sensor validation tayo, no, allowing sensors to stabilize and ensures that detected deviation reflects a real measurement issue, not a temporary transition. So pag naglilipat tayo, we have to make sure that we wait a bit longer, no, 10 to 15 minutes for those sensors to IoT sensors to stabilize so that it can have a more stable reading, it understand the surroundings, kung ano man ang kanyang meant to as a device, no? Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, humidity sensor drift faster, no? Relative humidity sensors are naturally more vulnerable than temperature probes because of how they work, no? Most RH sensors rely on hygroscopic materials. Forget about the term, but it means that it's the absorption and the release of moisture dun sa kanyang sensor. Kasi ang kanyang inaalam ay ang ating percentage ng water moisture, no? Yung relative humidity na yun. In livestock farms, repeated condensation and drying cycles slowly degrade this sensing, no? Katulad ng nabanggit natin kanina. At nag-iiba yan. So, mas mabagal, ito ang pinakababagal, yung humidity sensor, no? And it's not just moisture, no? Barn environment also contains chemical stressor, nabanggit ko na to kanina. Field observations, no, support this pattern. Napansin talaga namin to, and ito din naman yung nakikita natin sa international na mga feedback. Long-term in barn evaluations of humidity sensors have shown measurable drift emerging within the first 6 to 9 months. So, inulit ko lang to, but we have seen yung medyo mas murang devices, no? Early na mga 3 months. Pero para sa mga backyard racer, sa small operations, if we don't really have to buy the very expensive devices, no? We have the generic devices. It's okay to do. Nasubukan namin, it's commercially okay, no, to do calibration once a month, no, or twice in every 3 months. So para ma-capture natin yung humidity sensors ng mga drift na yan. So lalo na yung humidity sensors kasi mas mabilis silang mag-drift. Let's talk about kanina pa natin to pinag-uusapan but it's in the slide because it's very important para sa idea ng digital sensing, no? Calibration and placement play different but equally critical roles in environmental monitoring, no? Marami siyang nasasagot, placement ensures relevance and both define decision quality. And we have a golden rule, no, na nakasanayan dito, and I've seen it in the practices on other countries. The most important placement principle in livestock sensing is simple. Measure what the animal actually experiences, no? I think it's the third time that I reiterated this. This is very important. Environmental data should reflect the breathing zone, no? The air that the pigs inhale throughout the day. Nandoon ideally yung sensor natin. Mounting sensors at animal head height helps ensure that temperature and humidity readings match biological exposure, not just structural airflow, no, patterns, no. Common installation shortcuts break this principle. I've seen this several times, no, if we don't monitor the quality of the work of the installer, of the technicians, no. Ceiling mounted sensors capture thermally stratified air that usually warmer than the conditions at peak level, no. Kung minamadaling mailagay na kaagad doon, wala sa tamang height, no. Kasi of course, we need to put guards para hindi siya makagat or mapaglaruan ng ating livestock, no. Tapos yung mga sensors and devices exposed to sunlight, no, they detect radiant heating rather than true ambient temperature, no. Mga distortions yan. Placement priorities, relevance over convenience. Relevance talaga. Hindi dahil doon madaling ilagay o hindi dahil doon madaling i-maintain, no? We have to find, no, the right spot kung saan same nang nai-experience ng animal, ng livestock natin yung ating sensor, no? When sensor data aligns with the livestock microclimate, no, the microclimate of the animals, ventilation adjustments and welfare interventions becomes biologically informed instead of structurally biased, no. Biologically informed tayo na ito ang kailangan ng mga fans and heaters and everything because we know na totoong level ng ating mga livestock yung ating napipick up at meron tayong tiwala, no, doon sa data na nakikita natin. And this is just a fancy thing, no, the barn physics that affects sensor. But ideally, it means na yung structure ng inyong babuyan, no? Ano ba ang physics niya? May mga poste ba siya? May mga nakaharang ba? Isa ba siyang tunnel, no? Ano ang ventilation niya? We have to understand that. Barn environments are not uniform spaces, no? It differs. They are dynamic, no? Physical systems shaped by airflow, temperature gradients, and moisture movement. That's why yung mga ano natin, mga tunnel ventilated systems natin, they comes with a standard, no, on the design. Na when this manufacturer says na, oh, ito ang design namin sa aming tunnel, no? Meron siyang standard na decide on height, on space, the ventilation. Kasama kasi lahat yon doon. Kaya mas mabilis kung yung standardized na process ang gagawin mo. Rather than building it from scratch and understanding, kasi yun yung ginawa namin sa aming R&D. No? Building the design of the building, dahan-dahan na accurately na maintain natin ang ating climate control. So that's why we have a standard na. And then let's go to the next slide. It's the common field mistakes, no? Madalas nabanggit ko na to, but most environmental sensing problems lives in are not caused by device failure. So totoo lang, no? It's rarely that a device fails. No? May mga times that internet connectivity is really bad or hindi nag-sync, but that's real in my experience. They come from isolation and installation shortcuts, no? Like shortcuts sa installation, instead na yung device ay intended for a specific environment, it's getting a different reading, no? Placement mistakes are very common because sensors are often mounted where wiring is convenient. Lagi nating napapansin yon. Kung saan siya yung pinakamalapit na wire or pinakamadaling pasukan natin ng line, no? If we don't have to install new wiring, no? Lagi nating inuuna yon, but lagi nating iisipin, hindi yon. If we really want to have a good reading, if we need to wire it, we need to wire to the new location, no? Good thing is dito sa ating smart IoT, 99% of the devices are wireless, no? Kaya ang kailangan na lang na ilinya is yung sensor line tsaka yung ating power line, no? Ano pa ba ang mga mistakes, no? A simple rule of thumb is this, no? If a sensor location looks convenient, lagi kong iniisip yan, it deserves a second look. Parang pag unang inspection ko sa farm, if I see na parang ang bilis lang i-install ng sensor kung saan siya naka-install, pag-iisipan ko ulit yan. Teka, yan ba talaga ang tama niyang location or that's the convenient way to install it? No? And we always go dun sa proper installation rather than the convenience so that we have stability and we have good data and information. No? So, and then may microclimate yung barns, no? Na-discuss na rin natin to high level last time. But yung mga corner ng mga feed bins, yung mga corner ng mga poste, um, may airflow yan, pero nagkakaroon yan ng maliit na microclimate sa loob, no? Ibang-iba yung mga microclimates na yan. Large livestock barns rarely behave as uniform dahil sa microclimate, no? Air entering through inlets can differ significantly from air near exhaust fans, no? Magkaiba 'yon. And those differences becomes measurable across the length of the building. When we assume uniformity, we ignore real environmental variation that animals experience every day. So kung mahaba siya halimbawa, we should not assume that ang reading natin dito sa pinanggagalingan ng hangin is the same sa kung saan malapit na lumalabas ang hangin, no? Kaya we test them separately, may mga sensors tayo diyan. And then animal density, no? It adds another layer of complexity. Areas with higher stocking density generate more metabolic heat and moisture, which shifts local temperature and humidity. These localized conditions can affect welfare and ventilation efficiency if they go unnoticed. No? So, ang dami pala doon nagsisiksikan, hindi na rin napapansin, umiinit pala doon sa area na yon. At kung hindi natin yon na-cover sa planning natin, kung saan ilalagay ang mga sensors at kung kailan mini-maintain ang mga sensors, magiging blinded tayo doon sa area na yon. This is where zonal sensing becomes valuable, no? Instead of relying on a single sensor, we divide the barn into practical monitoring areas like a grid, no? May center zone, may end zone, may ventilation influence zone, no? It really depends on your process kung paano niyo siya i-identify, no? But for us, we use zoning, no? The central zone, the end zone, and the ventilated zone, no? So, multiple strategical places sensors preserve spatial truth instead of averaging it away. Kaya hindi ko nabanggit na mag-average ng sensor readings at maging basehan ito ng information. Because every sensor is located in a strategic place na iba ang tina-target niya. It could be a sensor na nagta-target dun sa end ng tunnel or dun sa start ng tunnel or doon sa malapit sa fan. So, we don't average them. We take all of those information and using data science, no, hindi na natin kailangan gawin to. Yung mga kami na sa technology part, inaaral namin yan kung paano nagbabago yung temperature ng hangin across the barn pag ganito ang setup, ano ang mga desired ideal placement of the appliances to achieve yung optimal setting. So yun yung ginagawa namin sa aming R&D, no? Pinapaliit natin yung mga malalaking farm, pinapalaki, they're scalable with IoT, and we understand kung paano ang mga design objectives, no? It's just mentioned here para maintindihan natin na kung we are starting our small farm at gagawin natin to, we always need to understand and accept that there is a microclimate and we have to kilalanin natin sila. Okay? So, mahal ba tong mga to, Carlo? Or ano ba ang performance ng mamahalin at hindi, no? So, we also tackle that. No, in livestock monitoring, hardware cost alone does not determine data quality. Lagi po nating tandaan yan. Meron at meron yan. Kasi syempre, ang mga laboratory quality, no? Pero kung meron tayong process on how we calibrate and maintain the device, hindi naman yung data quality ng information ang nakukuha natin na nagsasuffer, no? Ah, ang nagsasuffer doon is dumadami lang yung time that we need to do maintenance, no? Pag mas mura yung mga devices. At like doon sa mas mahal na mga devices, they are tested na they can work longer na walang intervention. But kung maliit yung operation, it's an operational risk that's easy to mitigate, no? Kung naglilinis naman talaga kayo ng barn or ng houses, then pwede namang isama na talaga yon, mapunasan, etc. No? So, high-end sensors installed in poor locations will still generate distorted readings. Tandaan natin yan, no? Kahit mamahalin yan, kung mali ang pinaglagyan yan, mali ang reading yan. Sensor management focus on discipline before upgrades. Carlo, kailangan ba naming mag-upgrade sa mas mamahaling mga sensor, sa mga ginagamit sa mga large scale? Ito bang mga nakikita namin na sensor sa online stores? Enough na ba ito? Then I'm telling you na sa small operations, it's okay. Kaya naman natin na bigyan ng laging maintenance, no? Instead nga na manual ang lahat, medyo mabawasan na ang ating mga work dahil we have IoT. So, ang madadagdag na lang doon talaga is the maintenance of these devices, no? So, this is the last slides, no? What are our key takeaways? No? I'm not sure how long, tama lang ba ang aking pacing, no? So, calibration builds confidence, no? Reliable environmental sensing in livestock systems is not accidental, no? It is the result of disciplined practice. Calibration ensures that numbers are grounded in physical reality. Without reference comparison, pag-usapan natin to kanina, even precise looking values can quietly mislead, no? Kahit sa mga refrigerator, ginagamit namin to. We know na okay lang ba ang temperature doon, pantay ba siya, no? So, ginagamit din namin tong practice na to. Placement determines whether data is biologically meaningful, no? Sensors position that animal breathing height, no? Ilang beses ko to nabanggit, with representative barn zones, capture the microclimate that truly affects welfare, stress, and performance, no? Correct the placement. Correct placement of the devices turns accurate numbers of relevant insights, no? So dito sa comparison reveals truth, and structured comparison protects against hidden error, no? Yung multi-sensor comparison natin kanina. Multi-sensor clustering and scheduled validation expose bias and drift before they distort ventilation and decisions or welfare interventions, no? When calibration, placement, and comparison work together, ang mangyayari niyan, farmers move from simple collecting data to truly trusting data. And that's trust in the real foundation, no, of connected livestock management. So if we go back again of the interconnected livestock management, no, connected livestock, we need to trust the data that we see, the information that we see from our devices, no, sa smart tablets or sa phone, na ibinabato sa atin ng mga devices na nasa field without really needing to be there paragi para makita yung device. Kasi we have set a governance on how to maintenance them and how to calibrate them and how to understand drift and how to understand yung pabago-bagong readings natin lahat sa ating barn all throughout the digitalization, digital farming, no? So that ends, no, the presentation of the day 1 and 2. They're coupled, kaya nagtatagusan yung dalawang topic. And we will open questions, no? Ma'am Elaine, do we have questions na nauna na, or
Wala
we
pa naman po,
open
pero
the
we will be asking questions right now, sir. So kung meron po
Opo.
kayong questions, pwede po kayong, actually, pwede na kayong dahil tapos na yung discussion as it is, pwede naman pong mag-unmute and ask or chat po. Kung meron po kayong questions regarding po sa ating discussion ngayong hapon. Ayan. Any questions po? May mga nagtatype pa dyan. Ayan. May audio na po ba ako?
Meron po, meron po.
Ayan, meron daw po kasi nagsabi no audio po ako. So yan, meron daw po, rinig po ako. Ayan, sige po. So questions po. Meron na po ba tayong mga tanong dyan? Mukhang napadami po ba yung information ngayong araw na to? Wala na kayong maitanong? Ayan. Yan. Kasi very ano naman, yun, talaga lang sir, very technical ngayon yung discussions, no? Kasi talagang puro sensors tayo, yung mga, habang inantay natin, baka po may mga tanong pa dyan, nagtatype pa lang.
Mm-mm.
Ayan.
Yeah, very technical siya but it's really anchored on an idea. Hindi siya yung knowledge sa device itself. It's a knowledge on how to understand and use the devices talaga.
I'm also looking at our FB page, pero wala pa rin naman po. Pero ito, meron na po dyan, from Sir J. Lord Miranda, applicable din po ba ang applicable din po ba ito sa swine multiplier setup? Kasi sir, di ba nakita mo yung
Hello? Hello? Walang ba ang nawala? Miss Elaine, parang nawala
yes
po kayo sa
po,
dilit.
andito po
Nawala po
ako.
kayo. Hindi ko po
Ay,
kayo
nawala
narinig,
ba?
pasensya na.
Okay
Yung
na
dun po
sir.
sa
Sir, ito.
may about sa swine
Yes,
multiplier
applicable
setup.
daw po ba sa swine multiplier setup?
I haven't really looked dun sa detail kung ano yung pinaka-detalye ng standard ng swine multiplier setup na yan, no? But IoT as an application to farming is always applicable sa iba't ibang stage ng life cycle ng ating livestock, no? It's applicable sa iba't ibang fields ng livestock, even sa paggugulay, no? Sa grease. So the usage of IoT does not stop sa ating mga baboy, no? At sa iba't ibang stage ng kanilang buhay. Ang nagkakaiba po diyan ay ang ating ini-expect na readings at ang ating mga ini-introduce na environmental factors and yung mga pag-automate natin ng pagkain, ng painom, magkakaiba po ng husbandry technique sa bawat stages, no? So, yun po yung isa sa mga pinaaral namin together with ITCPH, no? Para ma-map namin ang lahat ng mga parameters na yan sa iba't ibang stages ng life ng ating baboy para
Sir, kailan nyo na
magkaroon
ba yan
tayo.
ilalagay dito? May
Ah,
timeline na ba tayo?
may
Ayan.
timeline na tayo niyan. Pupunta tayo diyan. You know,
Okay. Thank you, sir, for that answer. Meron din po from our FB page, from our FB Live. Sir Carlo, may recommended schedule ba kayo for the recalibration of devices?
sa recalibration ng devices, ako, I'm really okay with every month, no? But 3 months is good. Every month is para lang magka-idea talaga tayo kung may nagbabago. Now, kung gagawin nyo yan for a period of time like a year or 6 months na lagi nyong chine-check, you will have a clear picture, no? Kung may nagbabago ba o wala, then pwede nang bawasan, no? Pupunta na sa 3 months or 6 months if you have proven, no, sa mga devices na usually ginagamit mo na mahahabang interval. But starting with a monthly interval is a good idea.
Okay po. So, may questions pa po ba? So, Sir King, nasagot ba yung tanong mo? So, pwede daw 1 month yung recommended, pero 3 months is already good, right, sir?
Yes po.
Meron pa po ba kayong questions? Lubusin na po natin para sa, although matagal pa nating makakasama si sir. Ayan, meron niya. Okay, ito po. Si sir from Jeremy Padua, consider po ba itong precision farming, sir?
Yes po. In the general idea of precision farming, no, once we understand precisely kung ano ang mga environmental readings at ang mga reactions ng ating livestock, and we introduce then interventions, no, to control precise environmental factor. So this is actually precision agriculture.
Okay.
Maraming precision agriculture but this one is we're using IoT, no, to orchestrate the automation and the data and information part of the precision agriculture. Nasagot po ba 'yon, sir?
Ayan. Nakalagay dito, sabi ni Engineer Josephine, nasabi na lahat eh. Ang ganda daw talaga. Ayan, so thank you po.
Maraming
So
salamat
yan,
po.
may questions pa po ba? We are waiting for others. Even po sa ating our FB, pwede po kayong mag-comment for your questions po. Ayan. We still have time. Kumbaga naka-calendar na kasi kay sir yung 2 to 4 natin. Ayan. Kaya meron pa po tayong oras para sa mga questions nyo. Ayan. Okay, so I guess sir, napakaliwanag na din naman kasi talaga sir ng inyong discussion kanina ng kung paano nyo in-explain isa-isa lahat ng mga kailangan natin. Kaya naman I think maliwanag na po para sa lahat. Okay, so with that, again Sir Carlo, maraming salamat ulit. Magkikita ulit tayo next week kasi ang ating third episode will be on March 3. O 'di ba? Ang bilis.
Okay.
Ayan. And for those na nandito po, sir, thank you. And for those na nandito pang mga participants, isi-send po nung ITC page, ayan na po yung participant feedback form. Ayan, so pasuyo po ako kasi nire-remind ko po kayo kung kayo po ay umaasa or gustong magka-certificate, you have to have evaluation po. So nakapag-register sa Zoom po umattend at may evaluation. And yes po, mabilis po yung next episode kasi actually engineer ang episodes kasi natin is first Tuesday and last Tuesday of the month. So yung last Tuesday at yung first Tuesday, halos magkasunod lang lagi siya. Ayan. Pero yon. So meron po ulit tayong um, episode 3 on March 3 and we will be posting tomorrow ang panibagong registration. O di po ba? Kaya mag-feedback na po kayo. Nandyan po sa ating meeting chat ng Zoom. Ayan, para po sa lahat ng mga may gustong makakuha ng certificate. Okay? Remind ko lang din po, mag-aantay lang po kami ng participant feedback form until tomorrow. Sir Carlo, thank you so much.
Thank
Ayan.
you. Thank you so much.
Yes po.